Oh, I mean D.
D, right? D as in dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about question 9?
Question 9, I got A.
A, perfect, right? Because many Southern Democratic leaders, right, fought to uphold segregation in the South, right? So even after all these legislations, right? Question 10.
B.
B. Oh, why do I feel like you have some reservation regarding this?
Oh, no.
No?
Okay.
No. Okay. So yeah, the expansion of LGBT rights, that was one of the yeah, I think you know. Okay. So this is also this was also designed to, or it was designed to ask you if, or yeah, evaluate the influence of the civil rights movement on and on other political reforms such as choice B, right? Yeah. What about 11?
B.
B. Perfect, right? 12?
A.
A. Actually, choice A is not the answer because there's
D. Sorry, I had 2 marks on it, but it was D.
Okay, D. So just to make sure, okay? So why would D will be the answer?
Because we're not talking about cotton industry, that's like more agricultural, and this is like talking about the northern kind of like industrial thing, which led to the and they're talking about like cause and effect. So basically they're talking about how it led to more reforms and like stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically, again, we're really getting to know about what the question is asking you for this test, especially. That was a focal point, okay? So the question is asking you to like analyze the situation presented in the image and to kind of like correlate that situation with other significant events in the late 19th century, right? And during this time, two of the most influential change makers, kind of, right, were the Progressive Party and the labor unions. Okay, so those two you have to remember regarding the late 19th century. And the Progressive members, as you know, championed all these economic and political and social reform, right? And in particular, many leaders in the fight against, or they fought against child labor, abuse of child labor, and those were mostly Progressive Party members, right? And yeah, okay. For the question 13.
A.
A, right? This one, you must go beyond an analysis of an image, right, and evaluate how the ideas expressed through that image would most likely impact those interested not only in the well-being of this child, but the well-being of others like her, right? So yeah, okay. Question 14.
D.
D. D is actually incorrect because Locke's argument would in fact support the formation of Republican government. So yeah, so choice. So Locke basically refuted, right? Which one of these answer choices? His ideas went against
Colonization.
No, not precisely because he didn't really talk about self-determination per se, right? Yeah. What was the core? Okay, so Iron, when you think of the Enlightenment, and when it comes to the A push, right? What are two major ideas or concepts do you have to remember from the Enlightenment, or their influence, or its influence on the American Revolution thereof?
I mean, it led to like Thomas Paine's like common sense, and like John Locke kind of like inspired American spirit and kind of gave them like the kind of like rights to like rebel and like justification, I guess.
Yeah, so there are specific two concepts, okay, that you should know. And basically those are natural rights and social contract, right? Yeah. So I would advise you to just stick to those two ideas. Although there are different ideas related to enlightenment, essentially those two ideas are something that you only have to know for a push. Okay, so natural rights and how that's related to social contract. Like, can you briefly explain like those two concepts? Like just one or two sentences will do.
Basically, the natural rights was like obviously like the rights of humans to like speak freely and all that. And this led to the colonies like thinking of like social contract, which says that um, they should get the consent of governed kind of like, and like they should be representative of like the colonies because they're like the ones like working for the other thing.
Yeah, so so that's right. So basically, and another implication, if you go further, a little bit further from there is that if the government failed to protect those inalienable rights, right, or natural rights, then or not okay, so natural rights, right? So and if that's the case, then government can be overthrown, right?
Mm,
Yeah. So that being said, government authority was not something that should be taken for granted, or yeah, it's not definitely from given by the God, right? So it will be against the idea of then prevailing political thought, which was absolute monarchs, right?
oh,
Or absolute monarchy, right? So which one will be the answer according to this logic?
A.
A, perfect. Okay, so he didn't believe in this like blood lineage or yeah anything that rests upon such ideas, right? Divine rights, but more so the case was like the government's authority rests in people's consent, right? So yeah, so that will be the answer. Okay, A. What about 15?
D.
D, perfect. Okay, so 16.
C.
C, okay. And let's move on to this one of the favorite, yeah, excerpt. I think this image also appeared in one of the free response questions. Okay, and I feel yeah, it was one of the SAQs. Okay, in the real test. Okay, 17.
A.
A. Why, Irene? Why would you choose A? Because yeah, why did you choose A for this one?
Well, I was confused between A and B.
Uh-huh. But why did you choose? So now that the test is right around the corner, I know I can be really annoying, but I should bug you with all these reasons why you chose A over B. Yeah.
Um, because I feel like Andrew Jackson was like famous for his like misuse of like constitutional power. I mean
Mm-hmm.
his power as like a president.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it wasn't like an emergence of constitutional monarchy because like he was like the only one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's probably B.
B, perfect. Okay, so the question asks you to evaluate the conflict represented in the image, right? So always AP, A push, or whatever AP test makers like conflict, element of conflict, right? And then because the image shows President Andrew Jackson as a king with a veto in one hand and a torn kind of like yeah torn constitution at his feet, you can infer that the conflict is regarding the growing power of the executive branch, right? Therefore, B is correct because it notes the growing power of the executive branch through vetoing power and executive order, right? That he used for as a part of the force bill, right? In in response to what? Nullification crisis, right? So yeah. So what about why okay, A, because the image is not a literal depiction of government changes, right? So rather it's a symbol. Yeah, it's a symbol of expanding executive branch. So that's why A cannot be the answer. Okay, so let's move on to 18.
A.
A, perfect. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to 19. Okay. Yeah, 19.
C.
C, perfect, right? And yeah. So I feel like I already mentioned inalienable rights, right? So but yeah, for enlightenment, just going back, you should remember those two concepts: social contract and natural rights, right? Okay. 19 and 20.
Oh, 9. Didn't we just do 19?
Yeah, 20. So
Oh,
yeah.
20. B.
20B. Yeah. So yeah, this question was about Jefferson's plans for utilizing the land west of the Mississippi, right? So his claim that American Indians should be encouraged to farm is an extension of his agrarian society vision or agrarian vision, right? So yeah, and he believed that what America's future was based in agriculture, right? So yeah, 21st, or yeah, next question, 21st.
C.
C, okay. C is actually
Oh, for 21.
yeah, 21.
Oh, A.
A, perfect, okay. So Irene, so Jefferson's beliefs were aligned with which party's ideas?
He was Democratic.
Democratic, more so
Republic.
Democratic Republican, right? Yeah, and then that would pose an opposition, or not pose, but yeah, it was they were often compared to the ideas of the Federalists, right? So Federalists versus Democratic Republicans, right? Okay. 20. Let's move on to next stimulus. Okay, so 22.
Can you hear
Yeah.
my dog barking in the back?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's like barking crazy. I did D.
D. Yeah. So this graph or this question, right, asks you to determine why immigration increased from 1850 to 1890, right? So the correct answer is D. The growing industrialization in the United States offered many job opportunities, right? So that's why they were seeking to build a new, or yeah, they were seeking a new opportunity, and they flocked to the United States to take advantage of this opportunity, right? So yeah, this one was pretty straightforward. And 23.
B.
B as in bird, Iron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For this one, Iron, like, when was the Indian Removal Act was passed?
Oh, that was 1830, right?
1830, perfect, right? So in that case, right, the question focuses on 1860 to 1890, right? So it's out of its chronological context, right? Or scope, right? So that's why B is out. So yeah, it was pretty much ineffective in a way.
Oh, B.
B, perfect, okay? So because why? Westward expansion reached a peak during this era, right? And this what, so you have to know the correlation, right, between westward expansion and immigration, right? So this kind of westward expansion was in part due to immigration, right? As immigrants sought opportunities on the frontier, right? So that's why the expansion of westward migration led to increasing conflicts between native tribes and settlers, which included immigrants, right? So these conflicts were often very violent, And that's why Dawes Act dismantled the tribal governments and forced tribal peoples off their land, right? And in doing so, it also freed up some more land for white settlers, right? So that's why, B is the answer, okay? What about 25?
Oh, I feel like I'm so bad at this one today.
That's fine. I mean, I
Kidding.
feel like these questions are not, I feel, they have this very specific intention, right, behind every single design of the question. So that's why I liked and chose these questions. But I feel like they're sometimes unnecessarily harder than the actual test. So, but then this will train you better for the test, right? So next time we're gonna go back to the official ones, and then for MCQ. Even for this one, FRQs are official ones. But anyway, you're not alone. This is a hard one. Okay, so 25.
A.
Yeah, but still you're pulling it off, right? So 25A, perfect. And what about 26? And I suck at complimenting and comforting students. I feel so that was so it sounded so like, 영혼 없어, but I meant it, okay? So anyway, what did you do for 26?
B.
B. Okay. B, perfect, okay? Do you have any question for this one?
No.
No, okay. 27.
A.
27A, okay, perfect. And 28.
C.
C, right? And yeah, you got all of them right. Okay, 29.
I was confused on this one, but B.
29B. Okay, for this one, okay. So for this one, okay, let's go down. So Haymarket Square riot, right? So this was when there was this rise of the movement, okay, or labor union movement, right? And then basically what happened was that they were, as usual, was having this protest and then, or strikes, and then or gathering rather of the labor unions and Knights of Labor, okay, during this time period. So it's before AFL, right? And there was this bombing by anarchists who happened to also be gathering around that place, or the strike, or where the labor unions were having this gathering. Okay, so basically that would lead to a lot of American public, or make American public believe that labor unions were very violent, right, in nature. And although labor unions didn't have anything to do with these anarchists who did the actual bombing, right, because it happened simultaneously, and those incidents, right? So that's why a lot of people, American public, came to think that, they're pretty violent, right? Oh, maybe a threat to society, right? So that's where the negative perception about labor unions developed, and largely that would lead to a great decrease in the membership of Knights of Labor, which was then one of the leading labor union in the United States, right? So that would pave the way for the demise of the Knights of Labor, and then give rise to the next biggest labor union in the United States, right? AFL, American Federation of Labor. But yeah, so that's essentially what's depicted in this image, right? And the image title also characterizes union members as anarchists, okay? And this image shows union leaders steering up an angry crowd, and police officers attempting to restore order, okay? So that would be something, a kind of perception that had been perpetuated by such, or was, further, enforced by such happening, right? The Haymarket Square riot. Okay, so this perception of American public about labor union activists being violent or radical or even just like anarchists, right? Although essentially there was no such connection between those two groups. That was one thing that characterized the labor movement during this time period, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, okay, were we, okay, 30s, I think we would, so basically led to the demise or led to negative perception.
It was. Oh yeah. Since it was like the beginning of the Civil War, Lincoln was elected, leading to secession of South.
Yeah, and then why did it lead to this secession of South?
Because people thought he was a abolitionist. He wasn't no abolitionist. He was like more towards like containing slavery, not expending it anymore.
Yeah.
Which South didn't like. They kind of misunderstood his like whole thing, kind of.
Yeah. And also the result itself, right, of the election was pretty shocking because why? The President Lincoln, right, got elected without any single electoral vote from
The South.
South, right? So that pretty much highlighted the division, the extent of division or divide that was already existing between the South and North, right? So yeah, okay, so that's why, yeah, and then I think we're on the next, or for that one, okay, so basically 54, right? And then choice D is correct, right? Because the growing separation between free and slave areas, right, as shown through the sharp population differences in slave populations, paved the way for a border war between free and slave states along the edges of Mason-Dixon line, which was created during the Measure Compromise, right? So this small civil war included many conflicts between Missouri and Kansas, nicknamed as Bleeding Kansas, okay? So yeah, and choices B, A and B are out because they happened prior to the year 1860, okay? So chronologically, okay, incorrect. And choice C is incorrect because it occurred after, okay? So that's why, yeah, yeah, D is the answer, okay? So last question, 55.
55. I got D.
D as in dog?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, Western populations are not presented in the map, so it's not likely that D will be the answer, okay? So you have to really focus on the information given in the stimulus, right? So, yeah. So this question is rather focusing on the post-war impact of the population distribution, right?
Oh, that's what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know what time period the map is showing.
Around 1860, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would say B.
B, perfect, okay? Yeah. As you know, South had such a high slave population, right? And so you can infer that South depended on slaves working in agricultural production, right? And after the American Civil War, or the Civil War basically, and the abolition of slavery, the South suffered economic decline for that reason because of their reliance, right? Okay, so I feel like we can have a brief like 4 or 5 minutes. So up to like 4:15. You can take a brief water break, and then we'll work on the LEQ. What should go into the LEQ, for example. Okay.
Okay.